welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red, Fabiana Catania. On the attack, our leader on the road, and you can see lots of great solo attacks. Normally in this category, it's been Ella Vink who's been off the front. Today, it's Catania.
She's not changing her tactics from racing in Category 3. She's doing exactly what she used to do, pushing on hard at the start.
Category 1 leading pack coming up on a wheel. Now is Tan going to respond? Is she going to jump in? It's not the optimum place to join the group, but she's picked a pace up here, and she is just starting to assimilate herself into that group. This is going to be the point at which Catania is going to see her lead in the race overall being swept away. The riders come up on to her heels.
Quintero pushing on. She doesn't want to get consumed by that Category 1 pack, but it is one large pack coming in.
Is it going to be Howeiler who's going to take this? They're all around her now. It's Henao, Howeiler, Henao, Howeiler, Howeiler. It's Henao. It's going to be Howeiler. Is it going to be Zalze who takes it? She goes through the finishing line. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 2. It's the 13th of August. My name is Matt Payne. I am back in our studios in Sheffield after a manic 2 weeks at the World Championships. It was an absolute pleasure to dive in the middle and be on the mic with Emma on qualifier race number 1. Emma not with us this week because she's up actually commentating on the World Championships on the indoor cycling. So that's the artistic cycling and on the cycle ball. But Emma will be back with us next week. I was on the mountain bike, and it was great to see so many great races and see some of our riders on MyWhoosh competing in the World Championships across loads of disciplines. And well done to everybody who races and rides. Everybody from a certain Mr. Tadej Pogacar right the way through to the riders in the Gran Fondo and across the mountain bike. So great to see. Now, we are competing on an equally tough course here today. We are in the outer loop of Australia. This course is very, very, very divisive. It's a Marmite course, as it's known in the UK. You either love it or you hate it. And the reason for that is that dirty great climb in the middle. 67% of the ascent in this route is done on the main climb, which is only 15% of the distance. So 67% of the climbing in 15% of the distance. And as you can see, as we come from through sprint number 1, there's a big depression and climb. That's got a lot of the rest, but don't be fooled. The rest of the course is not flat by any stretch of the imagination. This will really test the riders. But the key point, even in the first few K, you can see to the left-hand side of your screen, that little dip and that little rise that brings you in and up away. So we come out from the pens, we dip, we rise, and that little kicker, having gone out and ridden it to see just how long it is, that is about 1 minute and 30 seconds of absolute race splitting break and split and damage. It's just going to be done because it is so hard, that section. 4 categories on our race start. Our categories 1, 2, 3 and 4 in yellow, green, blue and red respectively. We are going to dive in with category 4. Now we have our riders in here. We've got Geraldo, number 1. Last week, we have got on board here Apple Garcia, 5th last week. Gina De Grazia, 8th last week. Salama Al-Kabi, 7th last week. We've got Ella Vink, 6th last week. We've got Natalia Idzik, 9th last week. Mari Madera, 10th last week. We've got Musa Al-Mansouri, 11th last week. So many of our top riders in the mix. This is going to be really interesting. Let's see who takes that race start, who is going to be off from the gun. Here we go, qualifier race number 2, about to get underway here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and we are go. Away we run from the start. The riders pushing down on those pedals. This is absolutely key. Get this start right. go with the group, get on board and make sure that you don't lose those wheels. And you can see this pack of riders coming out and away nice and cleanly here. So it looks like pretty much everyone away, just one rider just starting to be distanced, needs to pick that pace back up behind, and this damage just being done. Now, this is our first look this week, because we have used this course before, at the outer loop, dip down 3.5%, rises up now, starts to creep round that right-hand turn, and you can feel the gradient bite when you're jumping on your bike on the turbo trainer. When you've got a smart turbo trainer or one of the smart bikes, you will know that this is where it really starts to feel. You can come around this corner, you think it's tough stuff, well, it just gets tougher. And you can see already 2 or 3 riders just being distanced off the back of this pack, and warming up for this bit is really key. You've got to be hitting this really with your lungs are really engaged. You've got, you've really stretched those out already. You need to do a few hard efforts before you get onto this, because at 5% already, as we came into this, that's the first step up, and you can see the numbers going in red now. We can see on the right-hand side of the screen, see all those red bars down there and the orange bars. That's as the riders really push down hard on the pedals. Musa Al-Mansouri leading them on here. Idzik goes over the top of her. Smithson right in there. It looks so like we've got everybody pushing around the edges here to just ensure that they go on there. Sarasuka in there, Vink in there, Tanglian in there. This really is a tightly knit pack, but it is also allowing riders to come in together at the back. We've just seen a couple of the riders who were maybe distanced a bit more just start to squeeze on. The top of the hill is a little way off yet, and this is really where you can see who's feeling good, who's just warming their legs up, who is maybe just going to bide their time, because remember, this is just the appetizer to coming into the climbing today. The starter, that is the big dip and rise, and then the main course, that is going to be our massive climb. That is the second category climb in the middle with all that climbing, 396 meters, and then the dessert. Well, that's the sprint when you come into the finish. A real gourmet meal of a course today. Let's see who is going to take this out, who is going to be able to make this count. Over the top we go, and look at the stretch of the group. Top right hand side of your screen, you can see it's dot to dot, and when we look back, great camera angle here, looking back into Wollongong, the city of the World Championships, the World Road Championships last year. You can just see that is really stretched out. And I was actually chatting to a few people who have been into Wollongong and were there for the Road Championships, and they were saying it's just great when you go onto MyWhoosh and you actually ride on the platform. It's so accurate. It really feels. It's got that same feel to it. Lots of the graphics. It's just tying in fantastically. Now, this race breaking up here already. We're seeing a leading group establish itself as it comes clear. We're just going to get a little check. It looks like Idzik is in this group, Vink in there, Al-Mansouri in there. We've got Madeira as well, Kirchner leading through, Apple Garcia completely pushing on here. Everybody keeping this pace pretty hot, and not seeing any of our key names that we would expect to be right up their distance, particularly those who scored well last week. So category 4, 2K covered, 4 minutes of racing done. Let's go on to category 3. Next race start. They are our next riders away, and they are going to be absolutely frantic. And that is because all top 10 from qualifier number 1 are down on our start list. So that is our race victor, Carolina Alzate. You've got on board Howeiler in second from last week. We've got Conan, who was in third, Henao in fourth. You've also got people like Mabin in fifth. You've got our riders like Litton, Pelagio, De Silva, Hadlock in there. They were all in that top 10 with Dallasay. We've got people like Gordon Light in here, people who are real regulars as well as top scorers. This should be a really tough race in category 3 because of all of those top class riders who were right up in the top 10 last week here and pushing. So here we go. It is category 3, second of our categories away, and off from the boardwalk. Start they go in those pens underneath the MyWhoosh banner, that yellow banner. signalling the start of the race. A short section here to come in off the pier, and then to take that left-hand turn as soon as they come underneath the arch. This is a loop that runs round to the left, and they'll come sweeping round, drop back down to this same crossroads and turn left along the shoreline. But this first loop, as we saw in Category 4, only 5 minutes ago, is going to be key at a quick start here. 44 kph coming out. That's about going to be about 26 miles an hour if you work in Imperial. Not many nations do, but we know we go out round the globe here on MyWhoosh. At the moment, it is Kekkonen leading this out. Kekkonen third last week in qualifier number 1. She's nicely in this mix, quickly pushes up towards the front, but look at the dive over the top from Carolina Alzate. Alzate, the winner from qualifier number 1, taking this on from the front already. She rolled around that corner, used the momentum, but look at the group. They're not going to let it go. It looks like we've got the whole of this pack pretty much all trying to stay right on the wheels, and it is hard from the word go in this race. Sometimes we see the riders just almost having a little bit of a truce as they come into the early stages. That is not the case today here in Category 4. It's not the case here in Category 3 that are on our screens, because we come into this climb 6.6, 6.7, 6.8. It climbs, hits 7%. This is not an easy climb. If you want to know how hard it is, make sure you go on to www.mywhoosh.com, download the game. A word from the wise, brand new update coming in 1 day's time. So if you're going to download it, don't download it today. Wait for the new update to land. That will be all over social media, on MyWhoosh, on Facebook and on Insta, and my_whoosh on Twitter. So get the new update in, load it when the new update comes in, pop it on board. If you have got the game on board, get the new update. It's going to be absolutely mega. I had a sneak peek of some of the things that are coming, and do you know what? It's really exciting. I would love to tell you, but I'm not allowed to. So my lips are sealed on that. I know I generally don't stop talking, but guess what? I'm not going to tell you anything about it till it lands. You're going to have to find out by downloading it. Get on board, jump on board, and get that climb ridden, and then recover on the loop back round again. There's a nice little loop you can actually do on this that takes you in and round. It's one that's used actually on the Tune-Up Tuesdays, which is a really great way to start racing on MyWhoosh and to get those performances in that give us your data, the verification. This group, well, these riders are in here because they have put the performances down. We've assessed their abilities and we know exactly what they're going to do. Now, Category 3, 1.75k, so 1 3/4k. Category 4, Musa Al-Mansouri using that sprint segment, as we do see regularly as a sprint training opportunity. Al-Mansouri really pushing on here at the moment, so going to be really interesting to see how she goes throughout the duration of this 11th last week. But you've got to remember, last week she was doing pretty much the same, getting some quick, hard efforts in on the sprint sections just to stretch her legs out. So Category 4 through the sprint. Category 3 are on the way around, all chasing here at the moment, and they are out. So at the moment, the riders up nearly 5k and just over 2k for Categories 4 and 3 respectively. But remember, we've got 2 more categories to go. The next of our groups, that is going to be category number 2, who are going to be chasing categories 3 and 4. So category 2, again, big list of riders in here, but we don't have the riders who are 2nd and 3rd in the qualifier number 1 because they have moved up into category 1. So congratulations to Everheck and to Artesia, but do have pretty much all the rest. And that means that the best scorer last week is Lynette Cavanafton. She was 4th last week. She's going to be right in the mix, I'm sure. Abando as well going to be up there, and a real mix of riders who could well be challenging for that race win. So the riders lined up in the pen, time to get the pedal to the metal and time to get the power down. Here we go, and we're away. Paul Garin, the rider we're riding in with at the moment, and one of the riders we know is going to figure in this race for sure. Now this group, look at that, very tight. Group 1 rider just squeezing into the back of the pack at pace and shooting through the group. So taking a run out the group and going straight off the front. That was a massive kick down there by, I think that is going to be Marin, who's gone for an absolute fly. I think that's she's absolutely rocketing. That looks like phenomenal numbers. That's 11 watts per kilo. Well, this is a real sprint effort. I think that is going to back right off again as she comes through. Yeah, you can just see just easing off. Now, let's take a look at the bunch behind that group, behind Mary Joyce Cokin, known for her incredibly quick starts normally. This is the rider we would expect to go for a long one and to go clear. She's tried it when she was in category 4, flew away and put in the pace, went clear. She's done it again regularly in category 2, and I think they're going to go over the top. I think that was a issue with the data coming in there from Marin. We saw some phenomenally big numbers and then pulled up at the side of the course there. So something clearly not quite right with the stats coming through. And remember, of course, all these riders submitting their power. It comes through, it's taken their power source, assessed when it comes straight in to the game. As we load it into the MyWhoosh game, it's always continuously assessed. It's also checked before and after. And it's not just the wonders of AI that do that, but real human beings still do the checking too. It's not just AI these days. It may be the future, but definitely at the moment being checked by real people. Now onto this climb coming up over the top. It levels off and it starts to drop pretty quickly here, and that's why you've got to be right in this group. Already we've seen a reduction in numbers here. Looks like Jenny Tan and Claudia Gentle just off the back of this group, but a nice big group here, and this is going to be big enough to stay away. There are 1s and 2s off behind. Just taking a little bit of a look up the road, I think they're going to be coming up on one of our category 3 riders. Just do a double check. It's Cokin who's off the front, so Cokin is the rider with that little bit of a gap. Mary Joyce Cokin, renowned for going clear at the start of the race in all the categories she has raced in 4, 3, 2. So she really has progressed, and it's great to see lots of the riders using the training plans that are on MyWhoosh. Well over 700 training plans, and you can target what you want to do, whether you want to be a solo breakaway rider or whether you want to be a rider who is going to be heading out on to a course with a view to stay in the bunch and sprinting at the end. Speaking of sprints, well, we're going through one of the sprint segments that are down on the course. We use them to get a check on the riders as they go through. You can just see category number 3 making the way through on the right-hand side of your screen. They are in that section in the Sydney Sprint, 300 meters long. When all of our groups of riders have gone through the sprint, then we'll bring you the updated screen with the preliminary results of going in and through the Sydney Sprint. As we come to you at the moment, well, it's going to be the fastest time at the moment is Musa Al-Mansouri, in fact, of category 4, going through faster than our category 3 riders, but our category 1 riders, they should beat that time. They're lined up on the race start, a massive race field here, more than double any of the other race fields in the race. Big names in here who can put in big performances. Now, we don't have the winner from qualifier number 1, but we do have Catherine Fua, the rider who pushed it all the way to the line. And I think Fua today could well be on for the win, because this climb, she's going to be able to put the power down and then try and push to the finish. You've got Menezes in here, we've got Manshandi in here, we've got Engstrom, we've got Bardaskaya, and we've got riders joining, plus Bjarhead, plus lots more. This could be tricky. Cavado, 4th place rider last time. Could it be her day? Phenomenal sprint power, and that might come to the fore if a small group go to the finish. That's a big if. Let's find out who will be our winner in qualifier race number 1. We are away, and our riders are go. This is the qualifier race number 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And we have all of our riders out and off on to the course. Everybody now has been set away. The flag has been dropped. And it's now for our riders to show us who has got the power, who's got the speed, who's got the tactical race ability. So riding in with Mina Koistonen, another of our regulars, a rider who was very good in our championships. Don't forget, of course, the MyWhoosh championships are available to look back onto view. And we were using, of course, the course, which the various courses, which included the Outer Loop, the Wollongong courses. We also used the courses that took us out and through all of the various worlds. A brilliantly engineered, brilliantly designed set of routes of tour, and it produced some great racing and some real surprises and some great young riders as well. And it was great to see everybody going out and enjoying that, and the prizes that went out and the mementos from racing on it were brilliant. It was so nice to see on social media, on the MyWhoosh Instagram and on the Facebook feed, so many riders just getting jerseys and bottles and all the bags and all the bits and pieces, as well as the medal for competing in that. And got to say, massive thank you to everybody who's involved. It was a big team effort behind the scenes, not just in bringing you the shows, but bringing you the race as well at MyWhoosh. And a brilliant job done by everybody who got that there. So go back, have a watch, have a look, check out the riders, check out the riding, jump on board. You want to be in it to win it. Remember, the prize fund this year was $1 million. Huge prize fund in the MyWhoosh Championship. But we remember, we have a huge prize fund every single week on MyWhoosh, because we reward our riders here on MyWhoosh. If esports is to grow to be the kind of discipline where people can dedicate the time to it, then they need to have the funds to do so. You need to be able to dedicate that time. We've seen so many MyWhoosh and esports specialists now. Now you can see on here we have our prize fund for individuals. That is for all of our qualifier races. So from 432 AED. So that is in Durham, from 432 right the way to 2,164 first. Teams classification kicks in when we come to our finals. So in the monthly final, it's the last Sunday in the month. And that will be our team classification, 10,800 AED for the win. 3 riders to count in that team. And that is the cumulative time of your best 3 riders. Fastest best 3 riders wins. Steps up, as you can see, what was first prize in the team drops to second. But just as importantly, you can see that in the individual classification ramps up in qualifier race number 3. It also ramps up in our category number 2 as well. So that steps up, as you can see. We've got 3,600 AED for the win in category number 3. That big jump up, it jumps again, and this is about rewarding the bigger and the further up the prize fund you go. You're going to have to race harder, because you are going up through those ability levels. 30,000 AED for the team, 6,000 AED for the win. Massive difference in there as you go up through these. And it does make a huge difference as you go up. And of course, category number 1, that is incredible. We have 10,000 AED, which is huge. That is just absolutely phenomenal. To give you an idea, that is about just under 3,000 US dollars. We are going to have a little decide what we're going to go for. We'll go for Nepali rupees. So in Nepalese rupees today, we always try and do a different currency. I don't think we've done Nepalese rupees so far. But my co-host here, Emma Martin, not with us. She's up on World's duty in case you missed the start of the show. So she's not going to do the calculation. So you'll have to forgive me, because my maths is not as good as Emma's. But 10,000 Emirati dirham is the equivalent of, are you ready for this, 360,818 Nepalese rupees. There we go. So if you are in Nepal, that is what you could win. If you win the individual competition, is 50,000. So that is going to be something in the region of about 18 million Nepalese rupees. My goodness, that is an incredible amount of money. And that is what you could win if you're good enough, if you can put the speed down, put the pace in, and take that win. Now, our riders who are competing for those prizes out on course: Category 1, 3k in; Category 2, nearly 6k in; Categories 3 and 4 at 9 and just coming up for 11k are both on the section through the aquarium. So you can see the riders in the tunnels, under the water, and as they come in, they go onto the climb. This is the first big climb. If you remember that course profile, you saw it dip and then you saw it rise. So when we were talking about the appetizer, the starter and the main, we've done the appetizer, that was the little kicker. We've done the, we're on to the starter. It's that climb out of the aquarium, that big ramp up. Not as big as the climb in the middle of the race though. Now, as we come back into town with category number 1, riding in with Dorothy Gonzalez-Ruhr, we can see top left-hand side of the screen, not having to work too hard here. 127 beats per minute is going to be comfortable for our category 1 riders. And a quick reminder, category 1, this is, yes, the cream of the crop. This is the top step on the 4 stages of riding on MyWhoosh. This is where, when you're on Sunday Race Club, this is where you will end up if you are in amongst the best of the best. However, it's also where all of our riders start, just so that we don't get a potential world champion. For example, if Tom Pickup, the man who's just took the last of the championships at the Mountain Bike World Championships, all part of the Cycling World Championships, if he came down and we put him in category 4, I'll be brutally honest, he would be absolutely fine. If we took Demi Vollering, for example, and dropped her into category 4, that would be pretty unfair on category 4. So our riders will go into category 1, the hardest category, and then when they've proven what their power performances are, we then start to drop them down into the appropriate category, and that is done by analysing the data that they generate whilst they're riding and racing. Now, if you're thinking, oh, how much do I need to do? It's really simple. There's no fixed amount, because we will be checking, and the system checks all the way through, and 2 short rides, 3 long rides. It's a real mix, and that means there's no fixed time. We don't say we guarantee after 1, because you know what, we might need a bit more data. We might need to just check you out and make sure that we're getting the correct figures, and then you'll be allocated to a category. So category 1 is where we see not only our fastest but also our new riders, and some of those new riders will move into categories 2, 3 or 4, and those are the riders generally at the start of the race who are going to be a little bit further back. Now in category 1, because this is the cream of the crop, very hard to get a breakaway unless you use the terrain to your advantage, and that means that where there's a climb, you're going to have to push on to try and break the riders clear, particularly when you come in towards the top of a climb. Angie Para, a rider who is notorious for making the racing hard and is equally as loved by us for making the racing engaging, has gone down the road, and Karut Quevedo is going with her. I think these 2 riders are going to want to have a little leg stretch here. Are they going to break away? I'm not sure it's a hard enough attack to go clear, and I think with Quevedo going up there, the rest of the riders are going to react. We're just watching the numbers. It's eased off a little bit, but these riders are coming through the sprint section, and that means that we are sooner to get the results. In fact, here they come. Look at that. Wow. Now, really telling. This tells a story. It's not just pretty colours, names and numbers, because the story that's painted by this is very clear. That our category 4 riders, they're the riders in the red jerseys, our category 3 riders in the blue jerseys are pushing on at pace. Musa Al-Mansouri, the rider who is there in the top, is a category 4 rider. Got the fastest time. These riders coming through have absolutely blown apart the riders in categories 2 and category 1. I'm just actually searching to find category 1. Category 1, fastest rider through, Elena Lopez, 20th place. 20th place. Now, her time is 36.5 seconds. The fastest time, 29. But we have a real difference in the pace. Musa Al-Mansouri with the fastest time through that section. We saw her go for it. You saw her sprint off on the screen. She takes that fastest time. Her time was 29.686. But Musa Al-Mansouri really pushing, using that to her advantage. Categories 3 and 4, they are going faster. This is what we want to see. They're racing aggressively. They're keeping the pace high. Category 1 and 2, maybe they feel like I did first thing this morning after about 4 hours sleep coming back from the World Championships and not yet had a coffee, because I think they need to wake up. It's just taking it a little bit easier, but this is where we're going to see a change, I think, because now that we are up and running, Mary Joyce Coking has said, you know what? I'm going to push on here. Now, Mary Joyce Coking currently has a lead over the riders in the same category of 38. Now 39 seconds back to Kimberly Miller, Lisa Hermansen, Jenny Daniel, Anna Embring in there, Erica Butero. These are the riders in that chasing group, which at the moment, not chasing as hard as Mary Joyce Coking is pushing on. She's onto the climb. That's one of the reasons that her power will be going right up. And we're now starting to see a little bit of a response behind as the group behind come in to the climb. Let's see what's going to happen. This is that chasing group. Now they're across the road. If you've been watching any of the coverage from the world, you know on the road racing, when it's lying down, when it is one single long line, that is when the pressure is on. So when you were watching Tadej Pogacar, the UAE Emirates team, on the climb with Matthew van der Poel, with Wout van Aert, they were on the front of the group. There were riders behind struggling to stay with the pace of them. And that was because they were lying down. You couldn't go through and get out on the outside of the riders and power down. You needed to hide behind the power of the riders who were on the front, hide behind their shape to stay out the wind. When it goes wide across the road, that's the sign people are just easing off, just riding comfortably, and lots of people can ride at that pace. So when the hammer goes down, the line is strung out, that is when you can tell. At the moment, that's not happening. We're seeing a tempo being set, and you can see that these riders are not messing about. This is still good power coming out. We're seeing 3.5, 3.7, 4 watts per kilo, but it's not lined out. So this group are across the road at the moment. They are currently giving away time to Mary Joyce Coking, and Coking is a dangerous rider to let go clear. But quick reminder, this is 35k of racing. We are currently at 10k for category 2. Now, so shift our attentions across to the right of our screen. Category number 3, Tanya Howeiler, one of our regular riders in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, second in qualifier race at number 1, clearly on form. It came down to a real sprint to the line. You've seen that if you watch the replay at the start of the show. Very, very, very close. Really interesting race finish. And today, I think this is going to be a really interesting finish. The course profile, the shape of this route with that big climb in the middle. You've got to make selection on the top of the climb, but then it will come down to who can get over the line first. Doesn't usually, commentator's curse coming up, break up too much between the summit and the end of the race. So you've got a race of 2 halves. Get to the summit of that category 2 climb in the leading group, then work out how you're going to take the win at the end. Howeiler last week, not on this same course, was in the sprint for the win. And you'll have seen how close that was when they came in and through. I think we're going to see something very similar today. A small group of riders, of maybe 5 or 6 riders in there, because it will fracture on the climb. At the moment, 20-25 kph for these riders. I think they are aware that coming up is the start of the climb. That's at 15.3k. So we are approaching 2k to the base of the climb. Not going to be long before we hit that point, 2k to the base of the climb. And if you look at the top right hand side of your screen, you can see this green arrow. That green arrow indicates our rider's position, and the course comes in from right to left. And oddly enough, given that we're 2k away, it slopes up. We've got that climb. Further down the road, you can see we've got our category 4. They are at 15k. They are coming up towards the start of the climb, and at 15.09, our leader is Rona May Joy Miller, who is leading this out. One of our real quick, so Maya, the rider leading, she's got company. Musa Al-Mansouri coming across. The rest of this group are only 1 to 2 seconds behind, and as they come across here, they go underneath the climb banner here and on to this climb. This is where it is all going to kick off. This is where, if you want to be in it to win it, you've got to be with the leading group, and gaps that form now are hard to close down because everybody will start to push. Look, you can see Gina Di Grazia just dipping into the red. Musa Al-Mansouri goes in the red. Myra Madeira going into the red. Madeira, 10th last week. I suspect she could be higher this week, but we will see. Liz Smith's in here, also continuing to push on well. Apple Garcia quickly onto the wheels, not wanting to let this go. You can see we've got Kirshner again just squeezing on. Nobody wants to be distance. Nobody wants to lose that wheel. The mental advantage of being on a wheel, being in the group and not being distance is huge. Now, Myra Madeira just finding that pace, just stretching out in front of her. So come on, Myra, this is where you need to just squeeze. Keep those revs. Imagine your each foot going around that pedal stroke, pushing it around, using everything on the way around, keeping it nice and smooth. Think circles was what my coach always used to say to me. When you're sitting there and pedaling, when it starts getting hard, think circles. Think about that circle that your feet, that your legs are doing, keeping that power down, keeping that pace down, making sure that you keep it really smooth. Don't go into a big gear and stomp it because you're really going to struggle. Keep it smooth. Ella Vink, though, up there, you can see Vink just putting a kick in here just so that she doesn't get distance. 75 revs per minute, probably just reaching the end of a gear there. So by reaching the end of a gear, you're sitting there, you're pedaling smoothly, you hit a gradient, it starts to take its toll on your legs. At some point, you're going to have to change to an easier gear unless the gradient eases. So what you got to do, you maybe will just stand up, just kick down a little bit, just to keep those revs up, just stop yourself from reaching the point where you have to change for an easier gear, and then you will go slower. So really key. Sometimes when you drop in and you start to lose those revs, it's worth that little bit of a kick to push up and to just push on over the gear, just get up into that next section. So Ella Vink nicely tucked in there. Natalia Idzik looking good, sat on her wheel. Liz Smithson also in this group, sort of like Vink, just holding the wheel of Al-Mansouri. You got Rona May Joy Mayer and then Gina Di Grazia. The massive gap has not yet formed. It's 4 seconds to the leaders. As into the climb comes category 1. So category 1 coming into the climb of the aquarium. This is the dip and rise, and Catherine Fua setting the tempo on here. And I think Fua, she can set a nice tempo here. If she can keep the pressure on these riders, she's going to cause them to expend energy. Energy consumption, energy management is so critical in a race. Can't overstress how critical making sure you use your energy wisely is, because that energy management, you imagine that you've got your phone, whatever sort of phone it is, you've charged it up, you can use it, but you can use it for certain things before you get your next charge. If that next charge is quite a long way away, if you turn all your apps on, if you overload it with things it has to do in one go, you're going to struggle. It's going to run out of charge. If you can just use one at a time, keep it nice and smooth, not use everything, not put a big hit on it, it will last a lot longer. And it's just like a battery as well. Keep it in the top 50% of its charge. Keep your body working in that top 50%. It's much more efficient. Once you start to go below halfway in the battery's capacity and in your body's capacity, it drops off like a stone, and you can't get very much out at all because it's left doing essential functions. You've still got to breathe, you've still got to process your fuel, you still got to take the blood, pump it round, you still got to keep your brain in gear. all those things that are not race specific, not riding specific, have to keep on going. So that's why you've got to have this capacity. You need to be in there. So managing when you put the power down, really key. Fua could make these riders suffer. She went on the front, they've closed her down, and at the moment this group is pretty comfy coming up the climb. So category 1 altogether, 11k covered of 35 kilometers of racing here today. The height gain so far is 103 meters of nearly 600 meters. So they've done about a sixth of the climbing, but a quick reminder, nearly 70% of all the climbing comes on the 15% of the distance that is the second category climb in the middle of this course. On that climb, you can see that we have category 4 leader Rona May Joy Maya. She's on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You can see also on that climb in category 3, the leader of category 3, Angel and Hadlock. She is at 16k. You can see that coming in towards the climb on the top right-hand side of your screen is Mary Joyce Coking. She also has gone for a solo breakaway with a gap. But on the left-hand side, the riders with the most distance still to cover, it's 11.5k done of 35 for your category 1. So 2 solo riders in categories 2 and 4, right-hand side of your screen. 2 bunches of riders on the left-hand side of your screen. Very different speeds and paces depending on where they are through the course. So just working our way through these screens, just keeping a quick check on who is up to what's happening in terms of power, what's happening in terms of pace, who is digging deep into the red. Very noticeable at the moment that the riders in category 4 and in category 3 are being very careful with their power. They're not diving too deep in here. Rona May Joy Maya is sat there. She's not in the red zone. She's sat there pacing this. Now in come category 3, gradient of 5% and climbing. This climb is not flat. It steps on the way up. You remember that course profile? It's got that red section in the middle. It climbs, it levels, it climbs, it levels, and it climbs again. The platforms on the way up, the first platform much longer, the second platform a shorter platform as you go up. So 3 rises and 2 platforms on the way up. They've got to hit them. You can see on that profile top right hand side, I mean, we are now at 11.5, heading for 12. In fact, we've already hit 12. It levels out and it's quite a big step. It's not quite as big as some of the other courses, but it's big enough to drop down. So here we go. Let's have a look at that in a bit more detail. Center of the map, you can see we've already gone through from the left-hand side, gone through the Sydney Sprint, down the depression, along the flat at the bottom, rivers and up. We're hitting the red section. Starts off at a steady ascent, steepens, and then there's the flat section. If you look closely at your screen, it drops downwards. It is actually a fractional descent. That means you're going to pick up speed. You're going to be climbing, you're going to be really slow. Then when you hit the top, if you're on the front, you're going to accelerate away and leave the riders behind. But you then hit the next upslope. That means you're going to decelerate. The riders behind are going to come on at pace. They may well go flying past you. The next one is not as severe. It's much shorter and it's not as much of a depression. We then get to the top of the Canberra climb, and at the top of the Canberra climb is a very, very short section. It's only a couple of 100 meters long of the summit itself before we drop back off the mountain. At that point, remember, we are going to be at 20k, nearly 21 kilometers. We drop off the mountain. We still have to get to 35 kilometers. So keeping on the group is important, but that run over the top, there is a slight pause. So remember the profile, coming up to step number 1, you've got that key point of going over. Coming up to the second of the steps on the way up, a bit shorter, a little bit of a breather, not enough to give you massive recovery before you get to the top. When you get to the top of the climb, next flat section that you just see, it's not a pointed top mountain, it's a flat top. That flat top is the only chance to get on the wheels. If the leading group go over the top and are on that descent before a rider gets onto the back, if they drop off the edge of the top summit, then it's hard for solo riders to get back on. And that is what is going to be key. That's one of the reasons why everybody at the top are going to be sprinting. then it's a run to the finish. So let's take a look at the riders. Let's put that into context. Whereabouts are they? Well, the Category 1 riders are approaching the climb. They're on the flat land on the way in. So they have got to hit the climb yet. Category 4 are already well on the way up that climb in front. And the Category 2 and 3, well, they are sat in the middle. And that's in terms of leaders. But remember, we have riders like Jenny Tan, who's just jumped in with this group. Tan taking a lift with the express train that is the Category 1 leaders. And when we're on this flat section, having the advantage of sitting in a big group is going to help her substantially, because it will mean that she can stay in this group without expending as much energy as she would do solo. So smart move by Tan. She's going to sit in here. She's going to try and use this group. They will steadily be traveling up towards the Category 2 leaders. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, so put in your mind that picture of that profile we've just seen. These riders are coming up to the first of the steps. So as you go over, you can see we are losing gradient percentage. We're down to 6% from what has been 11%. It's going to drop to 5. You can see it's gone from red into orange. As it does so, the speed will pick up. 17k a ph, 18, 19. It's going to move up. We're going to hit what is a slight downslope, and those riders on the front are going to push through, and that's why the riders behind need to get on board. They want to carry the pace from there. 21 kph on the left hand side of your screen, 30 kph, and we are starting to level out. The power keeps on going over the top, and now we're going to start going into the descent. It is in minus numbers, and this is where they're picking up speed. 40 kph, so just seen, I think, just come out there. Certainly 38, 37, 41. So 42 kph, 25 miles an hour. We're halfway up the climb, third of the way up the climb. We've got this platform. The pace has picked up. This is where the riders want to be in this group. It breaks the rider off the back. They're going to have to work hard, because at this speed the draft will take effect, but the gradient's going. We're losing that downslope. We're going to go onto the upslope here, and just like you imagine rolling a ball of football down into a ditch from one side, you drop down, it picks up speed, it goes up the other side of the ditch of the culvert, it goes up the other side of it, and guess what? It slows right down again, and a ball that's set off behind it would close down and catch up with it in the on that slope. So here we go. On to the upslope, the gradient kicking back in again, the pace coming back off. Remember, we went up to over 40 kilometers an hour. We're pretty much half that at the moment, in fact 20 kph now, so that is dropping down. We're back to 17, 18s, 19s as we go on to this slope. So that's a brief section. It's not respite. The riders were working hard there, and that means that this is going to be even harder. There's one more step. You can see top right hand side, the summit just coming up on that course profile. This is not a long climb, 5.4 kilometers, but 396 meters, average gradient 7.6, but we've seen big gradients, 11% gradients coming in to play here as they kick up. Category 2 being chased by Category 1, and they are coming in to the start of the climb. This is the fastest riders on the road. They've just gone through and picked up a Category 4 rider in the red, who's also trying to stay with them, because the longer you can stay with that group, now you got more use that will be to you, the more advantage, but very hard, and it's not a great time, because as you come onto the climb, this is where that better power to weight ratio, one of the metrics that gives us the abilities of the riders, but that better power to weight ratio will come into play, and this is where Category 1 should dispatch Categories 2, 3 and 4. So Mary Joyce Coking at one stage with a lead of over a minute on the chasing group behind. She's still catching riders. She's about to come past one of our Category 3 riders, I think. We can see behind her though, you've got the riders coming up behind in Category 2. So Mary Joyce Coking started to pick off the riders in front. In Category 3, she's got a Category 4 rider. I think that's going to be Sarasuk just in front of her now. But it's a pretty big gap, 229 to Sarasuk. So it is going to be a little bit of a stretch. But look at this. Lisa Hermansen, 4.5 watts per kilo nearly in pursuit. Vasquez kicking down to stay on the wheel of Hermansen. Embring is in here as well. Miller is in it here. This is a select group. Do not underestimate the power of this group on the front here in category 2. It is a really, really tough race category to be in because you've got some incredible athletes in there. Hermansen chasing Koking at the moment. The gap down to 4 seconds. She's opening a little gap on the group behind. And remember, this is the fastest section coming in. We're at 17.6k. We're on that bigger step that drops down slightly. It's a slight downhill slope here. We're at 40 kph. We saw our category 4 riders go through there. Now category 2 being led through by Mary Joyce Koki and Lisa Hermansen, trying to use this. She's still revving nicely, 82 revs per minute, still putting out good numbers at 4 watts per kilo. She's got a little bit of a gap on the riders behind. She's closed the gap down on Mary Joyce Koki. This is going to be interesting. Let's watch what happens here as they come together. Will she go over the top of Koki? Will she take Koki with her? So just watching Mary Joyce Koking and Lisa Hermansen form a duo of riders on the front. This pair now have the lead of 6 seconds, 7 seconds on the rest of the riders behind, but that brief respite, that larger of the 2 steps, it's done and dusted. They're on to the second of the big rises, and Hermansen now starting to leave Koking behind. Here we go. Who's going to take this up? Looks to me like it's going to be Montoya leading the chase here. Really interesting to see that we've got Montoya, the rider, looking to close that gap down. Lady Gerardo Montoya chasing Lisa Hermansen. 2 very strong riders on the front. Not riders who figured in the top 10 last week, though. 8%. Heading up towards 9%. Lots of riders from category 4 in front. These category 2 riders currently having moved the way up into 26th position in the set of riders out on the course. 94 riders on the course at the moment. So another big race field here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Next up, this is category 1. Now they are on the first of these big steps. Look at the red zones. That is a big section of colouring in. That's almost like artwork, the volume of colour that's on there. We're seeing oranges flicking, we're seeing the reds. This is steep, it is quick. We are at 10%. This is the ramped steepening. It was curved in. It was that slightly convex shape there. Sorry, concave shape where you come in. It is slightly curved downwards. And as you come up onto it, it gets steeper and steeper as you go up this ramp. That is going to be really telling who's got the power to use this to their advantage to go onto the step, onto that section where it's going to get easier and faster. Has anybody got some spare pace that they can put down? It's going to be really interesting to see who is going to have the speed, the pace, the power, the ability to push through the pain, to push through that effort and really make the way up on to the next step and do some damage. Starting to see riders in 1s and 2s coming off the back, but the big favourites all in here. So onto the climb they come. They have riders in front, and if you've been watching the show, if you've been looking on Twitch TV, don't forget it's MyWhoosh Live on Twitch. It's one of those key things, making sure that you are aware when you're coming up on other riders. You need to be very wary of it, because that is when there's confusion. That's when we see moves being made. That's where we see the brakes going. Who is going to be able to stretch this out behind? the Category 1. We expect to see these riders before too long. Category 1 chasing Category 3, chasing Category 4, chasing Category 2. Now, the last riders away, giving away 15 minutes to the Category 4 leaders. But look at this, Category 3 are slicing through them. The very front of the race is just up in front, I think. We're just going to take a look. It is indeed. This is Elevink on the front. We've still got Rhoda May, Joy Meyer, Elevink, Liz Mason, and Natalia Idzik in front of the Category 3. But the Category 3 train is going to sweep them up. That red of the Category 4 will turn into a Lanterne Rouge behind these riders. They won't be the last on the road, but they will be the last in the group, because I think this Category 3 should be pushing through. But look at this. Rhoda May Joy Meyer again squeezing on those pedals, looking to put the riders in trouble behind. Emily Mabin now starting to wind this up. She's going to try and use what little aerodynamic advantage there is of being in on other riders to squeeze on. Mabin with a great ride last week, 5th place in the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in the prize money. And a rider who we know has got such a strong sprint. Can she put that to good use here today on Qualifier Race number 2 of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club? As we ascend the hills, she's got to really pay attention now, use all of her skills to keep herself pushing onwards and put the rest of those riders in trouble. So on this, the final part of our second category climb that comes, that runs from 15.3k to 20.7. You can see these riders are now within 1 kilometer of the summit of this climb. They then have to push across the summit plateau and then off the other side. It's not a long plateau by any stretch of the imagination. However, they've got to get there in this group. Get hit off the back, a group goes over the top in front, you're going to be in trouble. And I'll tell you something, if these Category 4 riders like Rhoda May Joy Meyer can hold on to this group and stay with this group, they are going to get a massive advantage on the downhill, where it's all about the aerodynamics, where it's about hiding out of the way. So Category 3 and 4 leaders together, right hand side of the screen. Category 2 leaders, they are coming in towards that upper step, the gradient dropping down to sub 4%. You can just see it going into the orange from the red, and it's going to drop down 2.2%, 1.7, it's gone to grey. This is the second of those steps, but it's not long. It starts to ramp back up again. That's it. That was their rest period. That was their chance to make sure that they took a deep breath before going on to the summit to climb the upper part. I'll tell you something, Category 2 at 19.43k, chasing the riders in front are not all that far behind. Here they come. Let's see. Can they close that gap back down again? So the gap coming down from our Category 2 chasers to the riders in front. Category 1 closing in as well. They are currently at 18.5k. They've got 19.5k just in front. It's just over a kilometre between the leaders of Category 1 and Category 2. This race is coming back together again. They were together in the pens. Category 4 went clear, Category 3, then 2, then 1, and the Category 1 leaders, after that really steady start, are starting to push on here. Who will crest the top of the hill first? Will it be our Category 3 and 4, or will they get swept up before they get to the summit? This is going to be quite close. Very different riding in Category 1. Left-hand side of your screen, big group, cross the road a bit more. Smaller group of leaders in Category 2 squeezing on here. Lady Gerardo Montoya still continuing to push. Dorothy Gonzalez-Rua in Category 1 on the left. And you can see Montoya here on the right, just squeezing on. But we are seeing Natalia Gallego just holding in with this group. The gap has not gone. The gap has not gone. She's staying with this group. If she can go over the top with the Category 2 riders. The advantage of staying in the slipstream as they come down the far side is going to be really, really important. If she can get in there, she's going to close that down. Now, Emily Mabin, that rider who we know has got some great sprint power, is on the front. She's at 20.3k. This climb due to finish at 20.7. That means that she has not got far at all to go to get up and over the top. Behind, though, look at this, Catania closing down on her heels. So is Hadlock, so is Alzate, so is Kokoden, so is Henao, so is De Silva. De Silva in 8th place last time. You've got Hadlock in there, 10th last time. Mabin a 5th last time out. This is really, really a class group. We've got Pauli Henao, 4th last week. This group are really looking strong. So they're at 20.45. This climb due to finish at 20.7. So only a few more 100 meters to go for the race leaders on the road. They're going to be the first riders over the top. They should see that polka dot banner coming into sight. In fact, right at the end of this road, between the fences, in between this fantastic avenue of trees, you can just see that classic white banner with the red polka dots denoting the top of this second category climb. Here they go. This will be the run over the top. Will they take the whole group over together? What will their advantage be on the riders behind? And what time checks are going to come in? Category 1, 19k covered. Still a bit decent sized gap, but I expect Category 1 to really wind this up. So Category 1, left-hand side of the screen. Category number 3, right-hand side of the screen. The furthest back leading group on the left, the furthest up leading group on the right. Who's going to take the QOM as they come over the top? Who's going to take the fastest time on the Canberra sprint? I think that's going to be Catania just kicking over the top here. So Catania goes through her time on the climb, 23 minutes 17 seconds. So a 23 minute climb for Catania. She went over the top a couple of seconds ahead of Kokonen. So her gap is over the top 2 seconds for Catania from Mabin, but it's yo-yoing up and down. There's a bigger group behind. They should have the advantage of aerodynamics. The pace up to 29 kilometers an hour as they come over the top. It's fractionally downhill on the plateau at the top, but picks up very quickly. Now behind Catherine Fua, well, she's living up to my expectations here. She's got the pressure on and she's starting to do damage. Karuka Vado behind, having to answer this. This is danger moment. This is where everybody knows it's starting to kick off. And it looks like Diana Castano is one of the riders who's able to go with her as they go up here. Fua putting the pressure right on through those pedals, pushing, continuing to try and stretch the group out. So it's Fua going through. It's going to be Diane behind. So that is Diana Marcela Agadella Castano, the rider who's nicely tucked in, trying to chase the rider in front. And that is a big, big ask. So Fua continues to kick, going to be closed down here. So that gap being eliminated at the moment by Castano. So Diana Castano on the back wheel of Catherine Fua. Then it's Karut Cavado. Then Barbara Zapata. Then it's going to be Viviana Gonzalez. But look at the damage. This is riders being shelled out of the back. You see in the distance the plane that's come over the top of the mountain is coming through, and we can see the plains behind. We can see the flatlands on the edge of the world, on the edge of the continent, on the edge of Australia. Well, they are right down at the bottom, and this is a tough climb, but Catherine Fua is making this look easy. She's stretching this out. 179, that is not going to be easy. And the heart rate 179, top left hand side of your screen, 300 plus watts coming out. So the climb coming up to its conclusion very shortly. The top of this climb, 20.7k into this 35k route. The riders on the right of your screen are going to be coming up. The fastest Category 3 rider is Fabia Catania. She went over the top in 23 minutes 17. But I think that's going to be blown apart here as we see the Category 2 riders coming in through the climb onto this flatter section as it starts to level out. Well, the only way is now down. It's down to the base of the climb. Once again, here they go. What is the time for these riders? Looking like Cabernatin, the fastest of this group up that climb. She went up that climb in 21:54, so 21 minutes 54 seconds for Cabernatin. She's currently our fastest leader in the house up the climb. Can she stay with this group on the way down? Meanwhile, don't forget, behind, chasing hard, are the Category 1 leaders as well. And out in front, we have our Category 3 and Category 4 riders. Here we go, Category 1 on the climb. Riders all over the road here. You've got two groups really starting to form in Category 1. We've got less than 400 meters to the top of the climb. You can see it in front of our riders on your screen at the moment. This is going to be key, pushing over the top. Who is going to snap? Who's not going to have the pace? Who's been worn down by the pressure being put on by Fur, by Cavado on this climb? They have got company. That is by Diana Marcella Agadello Castano. So Fua looks like she's coming back into the sort of form that we know she's capable of, sitting on the front of the race, dictating the pace. Three riders together. Will any more bridge across? Will anybody be able to get across the 8-second gap behind? That's the distance back from this group. That is the distance they need to close down. They're going to come up over the top. The clock at the moment of 47 minutes of riding. Remember, this climb has 67% of all the ascent is all done on this climb out of the 593 meters that the riders are covering today. So through the go over the top of the climb, it's Cavado with the lead at the moment. I think they're just doing a double check down the road here. They're swapping about at the moment. So it looks to me like Castano just swapping that lead out. But this is going to be a pursuit royale as they come over the top here because they need to get back in touch. So on the descent now, this is the fast run to the finish. We have reached the 20k marker of 35 kilometers. We're on the descent. Who's going to break clear? This is testing times for the riders. This is about now finding a group, work with it, pick up the rest of the groups. Don't panic, but make sure you get them back and get them back quick. If there's a group coming, jump back on board. Fur, Cavado, Zapata, Sanchez, Gonzalez right in this mix. They've got to keep pushing though. Get distance now. You're going to lose ground really, really quickly. The pace is so hot here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Oh, let's have a look at the times. Wow, no longer is it in red, no longer is it in blue. These are the riders who have set that border light. 8 riders in the yellow. Now seeing more come through. So Engstrom, Bjerhead and Bardaskaya, Joyner, Coyston and Agadello, Gonzalez, Sanchez, Zapata, joining alongside Castano, Fua and Cavado. Cavado's time the fastest time up there. She attacked across and got onto the group. So an 18 minutes 55 climb for her. Bit quicker than the rest of the groups as she came up over the top. that this is now our leading group in Category 1. Cavado in here, Gonzalez in here, you see Fua rightly in here as well. After that, big climb. 5 riders now who are squeezing on. Are there going to be any more? Can they pick anybody else up? Meanwhile, front of the course, 26.6k done, and that is for the leader, Rona May, Joy Maya, on the bottom right hand side of your screen. The leading group picking up riders in Category 3 behind the left hand side of your screen, and then we've got Category 1. Oh, sorry, Category 3 is the leader. Yeah, of course it is. Do you know what? It's a good job. In my ears, our director is keeping an eye on what I'm saying, isn't it? I don't know. I'm so used to having Rona May, Joy Mayer, push on to the 35k mark, and the difference on this, that is that climb. It is that climb that comes halfway. Really different course here. We see so often the climb coming at the end of the climb, and this is what we love about MyWhoosh. You jump on the platform. There are so many worlds. You can go to Alula, you can go to Arabia, you can go to the worlds in Australia, where you can head out and around. And guess what? We've got a new world coming. No, I'm not going to be breaking any surprises. Not going to be spoiling any surprises if I tell you it's a European world that's coming next. I'm not going to say which one in case you haven't seen our social media. Make sure you jump onto the social media. Another new world with lots of great courses coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a fan of the area that it's in. I'm a fan of the climbs. I love the terrain. I love the feel of the area. I'm so looking forward to jumping on to the bike, jumping onto the turbo trainer, jumping on MyWhoosh and riding on that. Partly because the climbs tend to be shorter. I must admit that has got something to do with it. Oddly enough, all the ice cream in between all of our commentating takes its toll when you want to go uphill. Funnily enough. Now, here we go. Mary Joyce Cokin. She went on the attack once. She's gone on the attack again. Come on, Mary. This is what we like to see. Aggressive riders taking the racing to the rest. We don't have favourites. We just love people attacking. We love active racing. We love people pushing themselves to the limit. That doesn't matter whether we are standing at the side of the local course or the road race, whether we're on a mountain for a mountain bike world championship, whether we're on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, aggressive racing. We all love to see riders who are prepared to have a go, prepared to put themselves on the line. You'll have seen the pictures of so many riders on social media, both on MyWhoosh and out on all the disciplines, really pushing themselves to the limit. And the more you push, the faster you're going to get, because you're just training that body to work really hard. That is really, really key. And Mary Joyce Cokin doing an amazing job here. Remember, this is 35k to the finish. She's approaching 28k. That will be 7k to go. And at the moment, Mary Joyce Cokin has the gap. She's up to 13th in the race overall. She's chasing Category 3. Category 4 leaders, well, they are going to be just in front very shortly indeed. There's not going to be very many riders up the road. 12 riders in front. Smithson, Idzik, Maya and Fink are the next group of riders who are going to see our Category 2 leader. And it could well be that Category 2 are going to overtake a Categories 4 and 3 before Category 1 pull them back. It could be we're going to come into the finish where we're going to have all of our groups together. That's going to be absolute carnage. Riders will not know where they need to be. They won't know just who's around them because there'll be so many people on our screens. Catania at the moment in Category 3, just stretching the legs out, mabbing, not letting it go. Really just keeping the gaps down here. De Silva, Aileen Francisco De Silva, the rider who is right in this mix as well. But do not discount anybody in here, particularly Carolina Alzate, who, as you'll seen from the rewind first thing this morning, well, she had the power, the speed, and the pace to go past the riders in the very last pedal strokes of the race last week. Can she do the same again this week? Coming back in through. These riders coming down. The Canberra Sprint coming up. That is the next time we'll get a time check of how everybody's getting on. It's the next snapshot on the race. 31 to 31.3k. 300 meters long. It's coming up shortly. So Category 4 leader, solo leader, Ella Vink, the breakaway Supremo, has got the gap. 12 seconds to Rhoda May Joy Meyer, 31 seconds to Natalie Idzik, 30 seconds to Smithson. This could be a big prize-winning move by Ella Vink. She started to push hard now. She knows she's coming up to 5 kilometers to go, a key marker, because everybody knows once you get on to the digits of one hand, you are in the sort of terrain, the sort of territory, particularly with this course, that you can push all the way into the line. Ella Vink in 1, in category number 4. In category number 3, we've got last week's winner in Alzate, who is just making her way in through that group. Babin is just up the road. Vink is chasing. All of these riders were in with Alzate on the left-hand side, just sat on the back of this group. We've got coming up behind like an absolute express train, Ella Vink. This is going to be a really interesting race finish. And Category 2 and Category 1 are in town now. So they're in town and they're coming down past the platforms, down past the station. Category 1 at 28.2k. Category 2 at 29.6. Category 3 at 31.2. And Category 4, they're at 30k. So at the moment, the riders are spread out from 20, or the leading riders are spread out, should I say, from 28.35k to 31.35k, 3 kilometers on the ground, separating the Category 1 leaders on the left-hand side of your screen to the Category 3 race leaders at the moment. So Category 1 leaders left, Category 3 race leaders on the right. They have got 3k between them. Can Category 1 pull them back? There's some serious relative top speeds differences here. We are seeing a Category 3 push, but they are peaking at the kind of pace that Category 1 are sitting steady at, and that is where it's telling. Kimberly Miller sat in here, 88 revs per minute, 300 plus watts, wanting to stay with Cabanaton, with Hermansen. These 3 riders with a little bit of a gap, but they've got company. They can't think that it's down to just the 3. There are 4, 5. I think there's probably 6 riders in close attendance here, plus your Category 4 riders who are in with them. A great job being done by the Category 4 riders. They're being picked up by Category 2 chasers who are going hard, and they are closing the gap down onto Mary Joyce Cokin. They will be closing the gap down, I think, onto Ella Vink. But time is starting to run out now. This group approaching 31 kilometers of a 35k course. This will be tight. Time to refuel, guys. If you are going to be coming into the finish, time to make sure you've got that gel on board. Time to make sure that you've got yourself all ready and prepped, that you have got fuel, that you are hydrated. Doesn't want to be a coffee like I've got here. It's for real. There you go. That's the coffee cup. I'm going to fuel up with coffee, but that's no good if you're on the bike. You need to be fueled up with something a little bit more isotonic. You need to be making sure you've got that glycogen in the muscles ready to explode, that you're all good to go. As we come in, 31.2k covered for Mary Joyce Coking. She's in 10th place. She's leading out Category 2. So here we go. This is a chasing group behind. Chasing group trying to close that gap down. Meanwhile, behind them, oh, it's getting close, but they're not closing them down fast enough, I think, here, you know. 30k covered for Category 1. 31.5 nearly at the moment for the Category 2 leaders. Category 1 slow start has meant, even when they've pushed on, they've not really brought this this gap down by enough, and it could well be we're not going to see Category 1 leading the race over the line. Once again, we might see it's somebody from Category 2, 3 or 4 who can take the overall victory here today. No prizes for it, just big kudos, big respect for holding off our Category 1 pack. So across we go to Category 3, furthest riders down the road. Now, we are on our run in. This is a tricky run into town. Catania has gone again. She has made it a habit on this course, on qualifier number 2, to attack, to go hard and to try and put the pressure on the rest of the riders. Fabiana Catania has got a slight gap, and it is slight. It's only about 1 second back to Mabin, to Alze, to Hadlock, to Kekkonen, to now to De Silva. This is close. Now Fua's going again, 6 watts per kilo. This is starting to ramp up here. She's on her way through the second of our sprints. That's the Canberra sprint from 31k to 31.3k. She is absolutely rocketing away down here. It's not because she wants sprint points, because there aren't any. This is about putting in a race-winning breakaway. Is she going to solo? Oh, the alarm bells have gone. They've gone. And it looks like Avedo has gone. I can't let Fua go. Too dangerous. Let's go. Engage the nitrox. Engage the afterburners. Get down that road. Now, Karuk Avedo has got a monstrous kick on her. She has got a fantastic sprint. Can she close down Fua? Fua pushing here just to try and make sure she takes as much sting out of the sprinters' legs here before they come into the finish. 31.4k covered of 35k in total. Fua is going to get caught back here by Cavedo, but up the road, 900 meters to go. Mabin is in a big group here of Category 3 riders. They are the leaders on the road now. This run into the finish is tricky because you do not see the banner to the last few meters. It's tucked away round the corner. They've got to get this right. Timing is everything. They're going to have to watch the numbers on the right-hand side of the screen. 34.4k of 35k covered. This is about being right with your timing. You can't kick twice and expect to take the win. You are going to have to put one almighty kick in here to stretch this out. Now, here we go. Right-hand turn. Long straightaway coming up. Left-hand turn. And then we're at the banner, and Kekkonen is at 7 watts per kilo. She's kicking. Mabin's coming from behind, though. Mabin with the white helmet goes over the top. So it's Mabin leading this out. You've got Catania with the yellow helmet. You've got Kekkonen with the red bandana. Catania is leading this. Has she got enough? Oh, she's gone early. Has she gone too early? As she might have done. Look at the numbers in red. Hadlock's coming on alongside. Kekkonen's coming alongside her. Kekkonen and Hadlock go across the line together. I think it's going to be Angel and Hadlock. It is. She takes the win. What a finish. How much power can these riders put down? Next up. If there's any voice left, oh, what a race finish. We've got Mary Joyce Coking on the way to the line in Category 2. She's got a gap. It's not much, it's 5 seconds, and it's coming down, I think, here. So Coking has got the gap. She's at 33.7k. She's the leader in Category 2. Category 3 we see finish. Category 4 now, I can see Ella Vink on our screens just in front. And then we've got Category 1 on the left-hand side of our screen. They're at 32.8k, heading for 33. This is going to be close. Now, the one set of riders we haven't seen many of in these screens, Category 3, where are they? I'm hunting down the screens. I'm sure our team behind the scenes here are keeping a check on where they are. We are, you are, we all want to know who's going to come in. So I think our Category 3 have come in over the line to finish. We're just going to do a double check, try and bring you all the scores on the doors as they come in and through. Just going to do a double check. So we had, 3. Hadlock in, Kekkonen, Catania. Category 4 riders, Vink on the course now. Not that many riders actually have just finished just now. Vink is leading out in Category 4. She's at 500 meters to go. She's going to do the right-hand turn. So she's got the gap. The action's going to come in 2. So many riders on course. You know what? when this gets even bigger, when we have 180 riders in this women's race field, it's going to be even more spectacular. I think at that point, we're going to need at least 2, 3, 4 people just looking at where the riders are, because it is absolutely frantic. And as we run down to the finish, Mary Joyce Cokin has got the gap. Here she comes. She's going to catch back Fink, but this is a chase behind. They're building momentum. Hermansen, Embring, Cabernaton are trying to close down Cokin. Cokin's going to come in this turn, but the train's coming behind, and it's going to come close. Cokin has got the lead. It's 1 second. It's 0 seconds. Cokin is going to make it, or is she? Oh, she holds on. She takes it. It is going to be Mary Joyce Cokin. Had that been another metre more, Hermansen would have had her. It's going to be a win there as they came through, but Cokin in category 2. Ella Vink is going to take solo victory. She doesn't need to sprint. She assured herself of that by having a 30-second gap in category 4. And then we've got category 1 coming. Oh, can they live up to the race finishes in categories 2 and 4? Will we see a solo breakaway rider like we have seen and go over the line in category 4? Will it be a category 3, a category 2 finish, or are category 1 going to do something even different again? That's what we love about racing. It's so variable. Right, leading group. How far back is Gonzalez? Too far back. Fua, Cavado. We have got in this group big kicker in Cavado. Powerhouse Fua in there. You can see that they are probably right in the mix with Castano. Castano sat in here, a bit of an unknown entity at this pace, at this level, at this finish. In with them, Jenny Sanchez. Jenny Sanchez, always strong. Highlighted on my start sheets, wasn't top 10 last week. Big highlighter through her name because she is a rider who we know is strong. This is the run for the finish. This is about timing. The Archies round the corner. Here they come. Who's going to kick first? They're still holding the power. They're holding back. Now we get a kick. It's Cavado who's gone first. 14.7 watts per kilo. 14.8, 15. No one can answer this power. I think they've left it too late. Karut Cavado takes the win. She jumped first. She jumped fastest. It is P1 there for Karut Cavado, the multi-time rollerblading sprint world champion. Puts that leg power to great use here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Let's look at those results. Oh my goodness. Cavado in 1, Fua in 2. It is going to be Castano in 3, Sanchez in 4, and Zapata in 5 in category 1. 1 hour, 7 minutes and 8 seconds of racing. What a race finish there by Cavado to take that. Brilliant racing. Pick up all those results. They are going to be on www.mywhoosh.com. Make sure you download the new update. It's coming your way. Make sure that you catch up with all of those results, the racing and the social media on MyWhoosh. You can catch up with me. It is at Matt Fixer Payne. I will be here for the men's race. Next week, I'm going to be joined once again by Emma Martin. Emma currently on the coverage of the World Championships in Glasgow on the indoor cycling. So when you've finished watching MyWhoosh, if you still want more racing, more action, more cycling, then don't forget you can catch up with Emma on there. But Emma will be back next week. I'm back next. We're coming back shortly with the men's race. So from me, Matt Payne, from all of the amazing team that make it happen behind the scenes at MyWhoosh, and from everybody involved, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.